Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below. Good evening, everybody, and welcome along once again to Apex Online Racing. This is Season 20 of the amazing Xbox One F1 tier, and we are at round number 12, the home of British Motorsport and Apex Online Racing itself in Silverstone. It is the British Grand Prix. For a lot of people, it is their home track, and it's been on the calendar since 1950, the very first F1 race, and it celebrated its 70th anniversary later on as well. It was built on the site of a former World War II airbase, similar to Austria, where it was also near an airfield. And we also saw lots of punches occur in one of the Silverstone races this year. I wonder we're going to see exactly the same tonight. Silverstone is 5.8 kilometers long with 18 turns, 8 to the left and 10 to the right. I couldn't get a map, unfortunately. I didn't have time. But there were 2 DRS zones for overtaking. One after turn 5 at the Wellington Straight heading into Brooklands, and one at the Hanger Straight heading into Stowe. Due to safety reasons, the DRS zone that was added at turn 1 a few years ago has been removed. And 3-point compounds of tyres, as always. We got the softs, the C3s, the mediums which are C2s, and the hards which are C1s. The 3 lowest tyres of the Pirelli range. And 5.12, almost 6 tenths lost between the softs and the mediums, and 1 second slower than the softs are the hard compounded tyres. So without further ado, let's get on with qualifying as everybody is making their way out into the pit lane. Thank you those of you that have joined us for this action here today. And I know we're in for an absolute cracker. Remember season 18, or was it season 17? I can't remember which season it was, but it was, actually no, season 17 it was, where there was a massive 4-car battle for the race victory, which went on for quite a long time. And I could possibly guarantee we could see that again today, because what I find with Xbox is around Silverstone especially, the times could be very, very close. We did see it to be very, very close in the PS4 tier earlier on today. And if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check us out before, well, after this stream, of course, because obviously there's still this stream to keep an eye on. We got 14 drivers here today. And we've got our current championship leader, Humperdinck, who's in P9. He's about to start his lap. So I thought I may as well go on board with him. Everybody already started to put on the soft compounded tyres already, which is a bit of a gamble, I would say. But I'm guessing a lot of people would want to take a few risks, I've got to say. So we'll have to wait and see. So here comes Humperdinck now, just past the club, and now heading into the start of turn 1. The first 2 corners of Silverstone can be taken fled out. Take the inside curve. For turn 2, make sure your car is all the way to the left of the track on exit in preparation for the first braking of the zone of the circuit in turn 3. A little bit of a swerve there, but as you're now going to be heading onto the Wellington Straight, the next DRS zone. You're going to try and get into the inside curves you can. Straighten the car as soon as you can on exit. And once you've done so, you can floor the floor without even a lift in turn 5. Go to 4th gear here. Turn 6 and 7, most commonly known as Brooklands and Luffield. Get on the power before you reach Luffield here. And now you just passed into Woodcote now. You have to be but avoid running wide here, especially as you head over to Cops. You can go flat out in some F1 2020 cars, especially. Now to the famous Maggots and Beckett's, as known by F1 fans, and now heading into Chapel. A few people can lose it around Chapel. I tend to lose it around Chapel just quite a few times. And now just going into the Hanger Straight now. Heading towards around about 205 miles per hour. Now into Stowe. And now some people get the corners mixed up. I usually tend to get the corners mixed up around here. But this is, the corners is heading in to Vale and then Club. And heading towards the final corner. And what is it going to be for Humperdinck is a 1:24.559. Not that far behind Amaze, actually. His teammate, which is a 1:24.520. Pablo goes on pole position with a 1:24.009. So already we're in the 1:24. So that is way higher than my predictions dictate. But obviously, these F1 2020 cars do tend to be a lot faster than previous games, obviously. So that is to be expected. What about Hawk, who is really starting to catch up in the championship? Unfortunately, Hawk has invalidated his lap time. So he is not going to be setting another one pretty soon unless he has enough fuel to get by again. And if they're going for more than one lap, it may suggest that it's going to be a wet start. And to be honest, around Silverstone, most race I've commentated here has had rain-affected races, potentially apart from last season. Actually it did rain in season 19 in Britain. But I think it was wet in qualifying, I believe. It was wet in qualifying, but obviously we're getting a dry qualifying so far. Hawk's in purple in sector 2, and he's a 1, sorry, and he has invalidated his lap time, and he just, I think, invalidated heading into Brooklands. So, again, a common place to invalidate that. Monty has just come in to the pit lane. So, he has unfortunately ruined his chances of getting a good lap here today. Whereas GC is doing quite well in the Haas car. Who is, let's see how he does in sector 2. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. So, for his sake, he's going to hope that other people just move out the way of his car, because otherwise it's going to be a little bit more trickier for him to manage. I almost called him a her. I shouldn't have done that. I do apologise about that. But here we go then at GC going in to Stowe Corner. The Haas cars unfortunately did not do too well. I mean, if you did not watch the race, luckily Grosjean, a little bit of an update, has had an X-ray and there was no fractures detected. So that was good news, and hopefully he has a smooth recovery. And GC goes 8th fastest with a 1:25.223 right now, as I think the only people out on out laps at the moment is Bobbert, Jam Pancakes and Alex Dagu. So they're on out laps now, ready to start on their flyer laps really, really soon. ERS management is crucial around here. I've done quite a few races around here where I didn't save much, especially coming towards sector 2. And it really did cost me towards the end because it's hard to charge around here. But at least 70% of the race, no, 70% of the lap actually, you can go full throttle around here. So, you know, it's quite one of those tracks where a lot of people like it. As a driver, I tend to hate it. But as a commentator, watching it as a commentator, I absolutely love it. And I forgot to introduce myself actually. I'm Jess and I'll be one of your commentators today. Now, Jam Pancake's the man that I've been keeping an eye on throughout the whole season, actually. He hasn't had the best of seasons. He was last season's champion for season 19. But there has been a few races where he has picked up a lot of form. And surely he's going to be doing a lot better very, very soon. Now, unfortunately, the standings have not updated as much. I haven't been able to see what the standings were for a while, but I did catch a few of the results from last week. No qualifying bans, I do believe, and no other penalties were given. So I think a few of the drivers are going to be relieved about that. So we'll have to wait and see how these drivers go. So purple sector 2 for Jam Pancakes. Hopefully it's not a glitch for him. I doubt it is. Jam Pancakes actually did not finish last time round, and he just invalidated his lap time again through, I think, just through Club, I think. No, actually through just past Stowe, Hanger Straight. Now, as some people would say, as one of my friends actually said when we were talking about this earlier on in the week, or a few months ago actually, when I was racing the Britain Short track, the Britain Short track you can tend to invalidate heading towards the hangar straight. And you basically, as far as I say, you got to avoid the broccoli, which is the green line. So if you avoid the green line, you should be absolutely fine, and you probably won't be invalidating there, that's for sure. So Hawk now is going for his second attempt lap. He's not going to have that much soft left, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get in and get a few more laps in. It was great to see he had a good result last week. He won the race. He didn't get fastest lap though. I think actually he might have done. No, he didn't get fastest lap. The fastest lap last week was Squishy Panda. She's currently sitting in P7 at the moment. No one in the 126s yet, so I think a lot of people are keeping it very, very consistent on the track, which is very, very great to see. Hawk, I do believe, with his great form right now on the circuit, he's looking like he's going to be the favourite, one of the favourites at least, to be in the line to be the Xbox F1 Drivers' Champion. Humperdinck and Bobbert still within the frame. Bobbert's still looking to be very, very consistent. Bobbert's, unfortunately, he got 6th last week, but surely he's going to hope that he can get a lot better. So Hawk now goes through Stowe corner. And no one again going on the meet. And Hawk invalidates. That's just after Stowe. That is just after Stowe corner. I think if you just lose it on power and you just if you just run slightly wide, then the stewards could be like, nope, you're not. You think you're gaining time, so you're not going to get a lap in. It's invalidating. And sometimes I find it a little bit too strict around here. It's just here if you run wide, if you get at least, or even here too. That's where we've seen a few other cars run wide as well. Well, I think Hawk is going out again for a few more laps. So Jonah comes across the line in a P6. Don't forget Jonah won in Azerbaijan a few races ago, which was very, very great to see for him. And with 6 minutes left to go, anything can happen in Formula One. And I'm just going to see if we've had a few clues as to what the weather is for tonight. And as far as I'm aware, the drivers in the chat, in our tier chat that we have, is not giving us clues as to what the weather is. So that is a bit of a shame. But that just gives us a nice surprise as to what we could expect towards it. But I can probably guarantee you it is going to rain. That's my prediction. It is going to rain. And I know people are going to hate me. And it's probably going to be a commentator's curse. My end. Now Bobbert's now another person on the lap. There's 3 people on laps at the moment. And Lefted has just come out of the pits. He's gone fastest with a 124.009. Almost in the 123s. I think I could predict a few people, I think, going into the 123s as he heads towards the hangar straight. I think this is where we could see a few overtakes tonight from the hangar straight, I think, towards Stowe corner as well. I think if we could see a few risks here tonight. And watch out for penalties. We saw how penalties could really come into fruition. And we saw that last week in Austria, where it can be quite strict at times. Bobberts goes 5th fastest. He does improve with a 124.300. Let's see how Alfio did in the Alfa Romeo. Currently seeing 15th fastest at the moment. I think I did see someone join the session quite late on. I didn't quite see who it was, but as Alfio slows down, I think he was not happy with his lap. Oh, no, he's on a low. Well, he's on 100% ERS, so he's going out again by the looks of things. I think he must have lost it somewhere. Surely. I think that's what he did so far. And I've got to say, a few people taking 2 attempts on their stint to actually get the lap right, which means getting a good lap in first time, really, is a lot harder than these drivers thought. And some people getting good laps earlier on, like Lefty, for example, I was not expecting him to get a good lap in until pretty much towards the end of the session. So a lot of these drivers have got to be on their A game a lot more, and probably it will be a wake-up call for these drivers as well. Let's go on board with our pole sitter, who's currently just invalidated his lap time. So Lefted, unfortunately, has got, I think, a little bit tongue-tied, I think, somewhere. Again, apologies that I did not see where he retired. Hopefully I would get a little bit more of an indication very, very soon. But here comes Lefted into the pit lane, and he's going to probably have time to set one more lap. I think a lot of people are in the pits, except Amazed, Humperdinck, and Monty as well, who is currently on their out laps. Now, they will probably want some clear traffic, but if I was them, probably going on just under with 3 minutes to go would probably be the best option, or maybe 2 minutes 45. That's the time I usually like to go out as well, because it leaves me enough time just to warm my tyres enough and make sure I get in at least one lap. Some people could be lucky to get 2 laps if they leave slightly earlier, just like Amaze, the guy that we're currently on board at the moment. And Humperdinck as well has just gone out too, and Hawk as well, just going past the Wellington Straight. So we are probably going to head into the calm before the storm here at Apex Online Racing. And if you want to get involved in the chats, don't forget, use the hashtag AOR hype as well. And I've just got the updated standings. Unfortunately, I had the wrong image, which is a bit of a shame. I thought I did save the wrong one. So I do apologise. I was looking at the wrong folder. So that was why I was referencing the wrong standings. So anyway, going through the standings, I'll go through them during the formation lap of what we were expecting at the moment. Alex Dago, unfortunately, has retired from the session. Got an 8th place last week, and he was really happy with that because he didn't get a points finish in France. So he wants to keep up those point streaks going in to Britain, obviously, this week. A few drivers also had some good points finishes as well and had bad luck. Unfortunately, we've had the Ferrari of Pablo, actually, who won in France, got a DNF last week, and it was a really bad DNF. It was a bit of a shame, I've got to say, but I can see he wants to carry this momentum. He's always been looking very, very good in the qualifying session, and I won't be surprised if he could be the man that can challenge Lefted for pole position. Do not count Jam Pancakes, who's a bit of a surprise in qualifying. He's looking to have a better second half to the season, because we are halfway into the season now. We are on round 12, and after that we will have 12 races to go, which is very, very exciting. It does go very, very quickly. Actually, no, less than 12 races to go. My apologies. We are halfway. We're in the second half of the season now, actually. And Silverstone's a really good track to start off, actually. That. 50 seconds to go now. Who is on a fast lap? We can see who is purple in whatever sector. Squishy Panda, really good. Found some time there. And we're just going to wait and see who could potentially be the one that can beat Lefted. Humperdinck's about to start his lap. He could be the last person to cross the line. And we got an AlphaTauri of Jam Pancake as well. And then we have the racing point of Tom. I think that will be the last people. At least we can get one of the Hasses GC on the lap. But I'm not sure quite what has happened there. So, yeah, everybody else will be getting on their laps really, really quickly. What about Jonah? Jonah just about to start sector 1-2. So we got 5 seconds to go until the checker flag falls. And this will be the last time people go on their laps then. So the checker flag has fallen. So the first person to cross the line will be one of the McLaren drivers of LGS then. So LGS looking good through sector 2. Now going in just past Club. Vale, and now into Club. Heading towards the final corner. Taking the shortest run to the line. What lap time is it going to be for LGS? A 1:24.7. Puts him in P10. Pablo can't get pole position. He remains in second position. Here comes Lefted now. A calm pole sitter. He may not need to push it as much, actually. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm trying to go on board with the Mercedes driver, but here he goes. Lefted improves on sector 3, but not on overall time. Let's watch Humperdinck, actually, the nearest Mercedes. He's next across the line, and then Bobbitt. So Humperdinck can only manage 4th. What about Bobbitt, though? The one chasing Humperdinck in the championship. He does beat his rival in 4th position, but Bobbitt needs to know that the likes of Lefted and Pablo are chasing him in the championship. And as a Maze goes onto the grass, and he's probably going to do a bit of a spinneroonie. Here comes Tom, though. Tom doesn't want to go in a mazed way. So let's see what Tom could do. Can Tom get pole position? No. Tom can only stay in 9th place. So there we go. There is your results then for qualifying. So look at the gap between 1st and 13th. 8/10 of a second. And the gap between 1st and 4th. That is just amazing. Well done to all these drivers. So Lefted on pole position. Hawk in 2nd. Pablo in 3rd. Jam Pancakes in 4th. Bobbers in 5th position. Amaze in 6th. Humperdinck in 7th. Monty in 8th. AMS Tom in 9th. Jonah rounds up your top 10 with LGS, Squishy Panda, Alex Segu, GC, and Alfio rounding up the grid. With Alfio, unfortunately, not setting a representative lap time. I wonder if he struggled. Maybe he had controller or wheel issues, or maybe he just got a few laps invalidated, and that's why he didn't get another lap in there. And we were right in saying that Silverstone can throw some changeable conditions or wetness in there, but we are getting I was going to change screens, but I didn't have it quick enough. So it is raining, and it is absolutely chucking it down, but I can see a glimpse of the tyres in the Mercedes garage, and it looks like it's a little bit of blue, or I might see a bit of green. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, the drivers are not going to like it whatsoever. Just look at that. You can already see a bit of standing water in the pit lane. Oh my goodness, I wouldn't want to be the drivers right now. The worst conditions they wouldn't want to drive in, and that is the wet. That was why a few drivers could risk it a little bit more in qualifying. That's why a few drivers did invalidate their runs, maybe because they've got a little bit of a wet setup. Will we see what we saw in a few races where we saw wet to dry running? So very, very exciting. So let's see how the drivers fare. And it is 26 laps. So we could see more than one stop today. Because usually in a dry running, it will be softer mediums. So what tyres are the drivers going on today? Let's just get all the information. And yes, I was correct. It's the full wet. And I'm just going to go on board, actually, with someone and Bobbert. And just look at that. You can barely see it, but it's not as worse as most Silverstone tracks. But it's just so hard to drive. They've got to get it absolutely right. The traction is going to be hard. They have no TC, obviously, because in this league, it is no assists. And GC, unfortunately, got disqualified from that lap, as well as Alfio. So we could see a few disqualified, a few disqualifications from this formation lap, because obviously it is hard to see. It's hard for me to see as well, so yeah, around this, because I had a full wet race around here, so I know what it's like. The rears do heat up quite a lot if you brake too hard. That's what I found. And technically, full wets can last a whole race, but I didn't want to get in that situation, so that's why I did pit, because it did get into about the 40-50% ranges. So ideally, one stop will be the best, even though you can go 0 stops fine on this game on the full wet tyres. Let us know your predictions in chat, who you think is going to win the British Grand Prix here today. We saw Hawk win again last week after him getting a great win earlier on in the session. He's going to be happy, though, that his rivals Lefted and Pablo got disqualified from the formation lap. And looks like most people are doing the one stop then, not doing the 0 stop. So I'm guessing Silverstone's one of those tracks where you can't get away with doing a 0 stop. So, laps 8 to 11 is where the soft pit window would be. But the full wets can last almost the whole race. 25 laps. But it is not at optimum pace, folks. So we are in for a cracking race. And I am going to be probably expecting some safety cars probably start to emerge. So do watch out for every single one of these drivers. So I did see the marshal waving the flag, but I don't want that. I want to see the lights. So we're about to see the 5 red lights coming up on your screen right now. And it's going to be a very long haul, but eventually 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are underway in Silverstone. Pretty even start from both of them, but a really good start from Hawk in second place as they all try to make it through turn 1 in these tricky conditions. A little bit of staggering water is not going to help anybody, but it's really hard to see right now. We already got a yellow flag, so I think we had a few contact from a few drivers. Let's see how they managed turn 2 and 3. Just about okay, but I think Roberts had a really bad start. He's already got some bit of end plate damage by the looks of things. We're seeing a lot of changes for position. We've got Humperdinck all the way up into 5th place now. Monty having a very good start. But we can see Jam Pancakes being pressured by Lefted. Jam Pancakes going to get the better run. Heading into Luffield into Woodcote though. Puddles is not going to help anybody here at the moment, but Lefted just about holds on here, and it's up into P2 of this race. Also looking good is Alex Zagu on and Tom going side by side. They're going to try for a move, heading into Cop's corner. At AMS Tom really putting the hammer down here and absolutely controlling that move. Tom up into 7th place. Fantastic. And Hawk already pulling away in these wet conditions. 2.9 seconds is a gap between him and Lefted. So Hawk at the moment is showing why he is the Rainmaster in these conditions. What can Humperdinck do as he tries to get past Monty? You can see it is hard to overtake. You just got to go for your judgment. I can see Humperdinck is going for risk here, but here we go. Jonah and Alex Dagu going side by side here, going in to Vale. Jonah stays behind at the moment. Squishy Panda struggling to get past GC. A little bit of a love tap. And we've got a little bit of contact there going on as well. And unfortunately, we seem to be having a timing glitch, sadly, which is unfortunate. But hopefully the positions will be there soon. As apparently Squishy Panda and Bobbers are leading. But that is not the case. So apologies about that, chat, that we could be seeing some desync issues my end, because I have been having some issues with my internet recently. Hopefully it does get fixed very soon. So it's Hawk in 1st place, Lefted in 2nd position, and Jam Pancakes in 3rd place. Jam Pancakes really wants to get a podium this time about. He's been due for one for absolutely ages. The best result he got was in France. He was so close. He was having a really good battle in France. But can he go one better in Silverstone? It was similar conditions towards the end of the race. So I'm not surprised that he's thriving here in Silverstone. What about Pablo though? On his Ferrari teammate Monty. The Ferrari boys not doing too well in Bahrain in real life, but they seem to be doing very well here. P4 and P5. Monty though, surprising everybody here as well. Monty, you wouldn't be expecting to do well. Alex Zagu getting passed by Bobberts as well. So Bobberts having a little bit of a comeback drive. That is all he needs here to shine here in Silverstone. Wants to try and score as many points as possible, but Humperdinck's lead is going to be extending by a lot if Bobberts stays way down the order, which is not what you want to do, to tell you the truth. Jonah now 4 tenths behind Tom, but Humperdinck is looking under pressure now. Humperdinck could be struggling on those 4 wet tyres, and it looks like the conditions are not getting any better. There was one occasion where a safety car in Silverstone did cause a safety car, which was the race I actually raced in a league on Saturdays, and it was absolutely mayhem. Meanwhile, Con Pablo was looking good past Monty. Con Pablo makes the move past Wellington Straight, and there he goes back up into P4, and Pablo is definitely making up for lost time. We're seeing some more moves at the back, towards the back of the grid, as we did see someone losing it. I think it might be LGS. Amazing's all the way down in last. So, no one has pitted. So, I'm guessing if people had damage, it might have been for, I think, minor damage. I'm not entirely sure on that one. But again, all will be revealed later on, of course, when we see people going to the pits. We're seeing the midfield guys going to the Maggots, Beggets and Chapel section. And we do have our first time penalty of Squishy Panda. She has her first 3-second time penalty. And you wouldn't want to be getting that at this early stages of the race. Squishy Panda gets past Bobberts very comfortably, heading into Stowe Corner. And she's going to try and get rid of that deficit and see if she can get past Alex Dagu for 10th place. Bobberts into the pits then. And I think his damage that he got and sustained earlier on this race was not quite enough for him to stay out for a little bit longer. So he goes into the pit lane, unfortunately. Everyone else staying out, though. It's going to be a while before these guys go into the pit. I would probably potentially, if they want to go one stop, maybe around about lap 11 is where we could see these guys go into their pit boxes. I think that's what Hawk would do. If I was lefted, maybe potentially going for the undercut strategy around here. The pit loss around Silverstone is absolutely massive. It's around about 24 to 30 seconds. So you wouldn't want to be stuck in your pit box for as more as you need to. You've got to get your pit stop right. You can't afford to get a 5-second stop go because you'll be losing even more time. You're more than guaranteed you're probably going to be lapped if you get a stop go or a drive-through penalty. So these guys have got to be nailed in terms of the speed entry into the pit lane. As I'll be keeping a close eye on that tonight because it's very, very short. As soon as you get into that pit entry, you've got to slow down as quickly as you possibly can. As we're seeing GC and Daegu going for a move again as well. I saw that move come up very, very quickly. It might have been Daegu having a little bit of a mistake or them letting them each other through as well. But Alfio is coming into this too. So Alfio again showing what he's made of. Daegu lost another position up to 30. Yes, he's losing so much time. I think a few seconds per lap. LGS is up into P12. So I wonder if Daegu did sustain a bit of damage there. I think all that Daegu is going to hope for is a safety car for the time being, which I think that's all I hope for Alex Daegu anyway. And the same for Bobberts too. Hawks lead 2.6 seconds over lefted. Jam Pancake in third. Pablo in fourth position, doing quite well. Monty in P5. Humperdinck in P6. The same gap between him and Tom, so that's going to be very, very tricky. And oh my goodness, these conditions are getting worse and worse and worse by the lap. I wouldn't want to be where those drivers are sitting right now, especially around Brooklands and Woodcote and Luffield. That's going to be very, very tricky. It kind of reminds me of France as well in the wet conditions. Daegu goes into the pit, so he must have sustained damage, and I thought he would. So here he comes out of the pit and onto another set of the wets. And it looks like it's going to be stayed in these positions for the whole of the Grand Prix. And sometimes I don't like wet conditions because sometimes it leads to a bit of unpredictability but not much racing. Because a lot of drivers do tend to be cautious in these wet conditions, especially me. And we do have a yellow flag in sector 2. I don't know who that was. Maybe just people moving out the way. That's GC. Another one of the Haas drivers who unfortunately spun just past Chapel. So what a shame for him. The Haas drivers unfortunately not having a great day. I think I did have a commentator's curse on the Haas drivers. So I'm not going to say anything more. So Jonah in P8 right now. He's around about 4 tenths behind Tom. That is the closest battle we're sitting. GC unfortunately has retired in the pit lane. And there is a safety car. Did he bin it in the pit lane? Let's go on board actually with Bobberts. Because hopefully the car of GC would be enough to see. So, or he might have binned it in the pit lane actually. I don't know. I would like to get his thoughts in the tier chat if possible. Because that was very, very weird. Because usually if you retire in the pit lane, it doesn't cause a safety car. So he must have binned it somewhere. Or it might have been just after club. I won't be surprised if it is, actually. So, what will these drivers do? Will these drivers pit now so they can guarantee that they could get to the end of the Grand Prix? Or will they choose to stay out? Now, Bobbitt's chose to stay out, and I think a majority of these drivers are going to. Or would it be the case that the safety car is caused due to these monsoon conditions? I wonder. Only time will tell. I really don't know. It might have just been the edge of the pit lane. I'm not sure. If someone who is a GS maybe of a GC in the chat could possibly tell me about this, but it won't be surprising if it is due to the weather. So, I think most of the drivers are going to be staying out of harm's way and not going into the pits. They don't want to risk a speeding penalty, which, like I said earlier, is quite common around here. And people are going to be wary of the safety car penalties. They can't afford to go onto the back of each other or overtake each other in the safety car. Tom goes into the pit lane. So he is risking it for a chocolate biscuit. He wants to go onto some fresh set of wet tyres by looks of things. A lot of people outside the top 10 are also going into the pit lane. So we've got Tom in the pits. LGS in the pits as well onto the wet tyres. Amaze onto the wets too. These conditions are nowhere near into level. You can see it's very windy as well in Silverstone. It was quite nice in my area of the UK, obviously. But obviously in Silverstone, the weather has not transpired, sadly. Which is a bit of a shame, to say the least. And we do remember a few times in Donington Park where they had a European Grand Prix, which was in Britain, where in these conditions, Ayrton Senna absolutely dominated those conditions, and it really definitely helped him as the race went on. And I've got to say, Hawk is definitely showing that today, but I think he's going to see that advantage wiped out, and Lefton is going to be definitely having a second chance, I've got to say, in making sure that he gets that P1. I think I am seeing a bit of frame drops. I am going to try and fix it. So I think we are okay by the looks of things. Yes, we are good. It's just my phone being an absolute numpty. So safety car is still going to be in for another lap. We're just waiting for all the drivers to catch up. I think it will be the next lap before that happens. So make sure you do watch out. Let us know who you're rooting for in the comments. In the chat, maybe. Who do you think has got the strategy right? The ones that are staying out? Or the ones that have pitted? We won't find out until the checker flag falls. It is not over until the checker flag falls, as Tom has passed Alfio. Alfio had to probably respond to the undercut, or was it for damage? I didn't see because I didn't respond to Alfio quick enough by the looks of things. So, we can still see by the sound of the engines, a lot of people trying to catch up to the safety car. We've got Amazed, Alfio and Daegu still catching up. But for the drivers outside of the top 10 that are running not good races, they're probably going to be relieved that they're not going to get lapped yet. Which is good. So that means they can keep going for the rest of this. And you can see the visibility has somewhat improved for some of the drivers. Not all the drivers, though. Especially around, I think I would say, Woodcote and into Cops. The visibility, I think, has got worse as the session goes on. But it may just be me, and it may just be my eyes, unfortunately, deceiving it, sadly. So, who is going to get the restart of dreams? A lot of people didn't have the best of restarts in lap 1. So this could be their second chance here today for lap 8. We did see in the PS4 tier when there was a safety car in the dry quite a lot of people had a really bad restart. Well, bad start at the start, but had a really good restart. So maybe they can learn from their mistakes early on and say, you know what? I'm not going to make exactly the same thing. Blah, 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 blah. My words are wrong today. Making exactly the same mistakes again. So are we ready to start this session? And it is in for another lap. So do you think it was for the weather as well? Because I thought it would be in this lap. I'm a bit shocked actually. Or it could be just waiting for the rain just to cool down. I'm not entirely sure about this, but I thought it would have come out by now, surely. Absolutely 100% sure. So I think my mind is probably going to be a little bit confused until obviously the safety car comes in. And I won't be surprised if this is not the last safety car that we see today. I could just bet you my money that some people may lose it in certain corners in these wet conditions. And I'm just going to see actually who's got penalties in terms of. So Monty, looking at the penalty front, Monty's on 3 seconds. And Squishy Panda was on 3 seconds as well. So I think those people are going to have a huge disadvantage later on in the race, as I've said earlier. And since the strategy is going to be made unpredictable, I don't know when they're going to pit. I would say lap 11, but it's probably going to change. And the safety car is in this lap, so bring it on, guys. Bring it on. We are finally going to be having some racing. Hopefully these guys will keep it clean, because I want to see some action here today in AOR. So, again, who are you rooting for to win this? Let us know, of course. I have turned the game sound just a little bit up so you guys can hear it a little bit more. So Hawk has got to get the restart of dreams right now. He's probably used to this right now. So this is his moment. He's won in Austria last week. Can he win again? In different conditions this time. I'm going to be going on the outboard shot of lefted. And we're going to go green flag racing. Hawk gets a dream of a restart. As well as Pablo as well. They go side by side into turn 1. You can see that they're all going full throttle. But one of them probably will have to conceive. And Pablo getting the better run on the inside. We got the Ferrari also trying to go on Jam Pancakes as well. The 2 Ferrari teammates working so well together as well. Jam Pancakes is probably going to try and cut back on them as well. In the Wellington straight, it's going to be really, really hard with no DRS. But we're actually seeing some pure skill for these drivers here today. But Monty just about holds on. Monty is in 4th place. So a Ferrari 3-4 at the moment. And if it was in DRS range, Hawk is out of that 1 second range, which is great to see. So that means he's going to have a huge advantage in trying to basically get rid of the slipstream that Lefted was gaining. So, and Lefted is trying to get the slipstream. So I won't be surprised if Hawk does a little bit of weaving, if that's the case. Speaking of Lefted, actually, that's not what you want to see. Lefted getting a bit of a 3 second time penalty there as well. So even if Lefted gets past Hawk before the pit stops, or even after the pit stops, Hawk would still win, unless Hawk gets a penalty as well. So Lefted will probably have to push Hawk in getting a penalty. Pablo is in a really good position to getting a podium if he can stay within that range. So Pablo must be loving this. Unfortunately, because he was battling Jam Pancakes and Monty did not try and catch up to Lefted and Hawk, unfortunately, but there is racing. Looking at the midfield, we are seeing some more battles there. Squishy Panda on the run for Jonah. Again, going towards turn 1. A little bit of a love tap, as it seems right now. If Squishy Panda went for the move, then I think there would have been damage if she went for the inside line. So luckily she stayed where she was. Bobbers as well. Bobbers, I think, a little bit faster than Squishy Panda. I think the train has gone from around about P5 to I would say P11. And it's getting worse and worse for these drivers to manage. Maybe they are not going for the move because they're worried they're going to lose a bit of front wing in these wet conditions. And there's going to be a lot of expensive bills for the teams to pay if that's the case. And it's going to cost them their race, obviously. Bobbers is really keen to go for the move. Just look at it. He's banging wheels with Squishy Panda. But he doesn't want to take that risk going into Cops. You wouldn't want to try going into Cops in the rain, did you? Squishy Panda goes wide. Squishy Panda goes wide. Bobbers just went for the move. What a send from him. He capitalised on Squishy Panda's mistake. And Bobbers said, thank you very much. See you later. Bobbers is up into 8th position. To be honest, I've been very impressed with Bobbett's pace so far this race. And Bobbert, I've just got to say bravo. He's 6/10 behind Jonah now. And I won't be surprised if he gets him too with the way he is going. And the fastest lap so far, let me just have a look. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Fastest lap is set by Lefted at the moment. The only driver to get into the 125s as well as Lefted, actually. And Pablo just gone fastest with a 139.5. So some of these guys are hoping for the conditions to get better so they can get that extra fastest lap point, I would say. We're almost halfway into this race in a few laps' time. Look at this. Bobbert's just going for the move again. He's not holding any prisoners at the moment. Let me just enable telemetry in just a moment. So he's got his overtake. He's got the right amount of battery here. You can save quite a lot in the wet. Here he goes. Jonah, I think, leaves the door open for Bobberts, and that allows Bobberts to go for the move. But can Jonah risk it? Can he go for the send of dreams right now, heading into Cops Corner? But Bobbert has pulled away already on the Alfa Romeo, which is just what Bobbert's needed now. And the next person that Bobbert has got in front of him is, more importantly, his championship rival. Bobbert is P2 in the championship on 106 points. Humperdinck is leading the championship with 126 points. Due to Humperdinck's podium, he was able to extend that gap last week. And Bobbers is going to hope that he can close up to that. So here we go then. We are seeing a little bit of lightning, I think, on the track. So could we see monsoon conditions again? It looks like it. So that may trigger a few people to go in and to the pit box, I would say. So Bobbers, he's just gaining. He's just gaining. He's found a few tenths per lap. He's going to pit next lap. If I was him, I would make the move now. Maybe turn 2. No heroics into, say, Abby, I would say. I was going to say Sanderbot, but it's not Sanderbot. It's into Abby. And there he goes. Bobberts goes for the move. Humperdinck. Oh, that was close that he was almost going to try and defend that. But he's going to have the upper hand. He's got the slipstream from Bobberts. Unless Bobberts takes it away from him, of course. Again, Bobberts pulling away. He's just loving the wet conditions right now. It may be that Bobberts was struggling earlier with the newer tyres, but maybe on the much worn tyres, he's performing a lot better. I usually find it around Silverstone. The more that I'm on the wet tyres, the better I become around here, on some tracks at least. So that's what Bobberts doing right now. But he's just lost a few tenths on Pancakes. So Pancakes, I think, has responded to Bobbert's charge. Pancakes has probably said, well, Pancakes, his Jeff has said it is crunch time. And it is technically crunch time. And Lefted is now pushing on Hawk up front. He knows that Lefted has got the deficit, and he knows that Hawk hasn't. He has asked his Jeff, I think, almost certainly. So that's why he's pushing by the minute. And obviously the drivers do know now, as well as the commentators and the spectators know about the penalties. They know how much penalties they've got. They only know the 5 drivers around them. So it gives them an idea how much position they will either gain or lose towards the end of this race. And we're still seeing not many people pitting, so I wonder if some of them are just not risking it. As Alfio's got his first 3-second time penalty of the session. I'm surprised not more people would get penalties, actually. So fair play to a majority of people for keeping it clean. And we are seeing, I think more warnings, I would say, right now. And I'm noticing with the ERS battery, I think a lot of people are on the 70% range right now. Around about 75, 78, I would say. So that means they can push just a little bit more than they are in the dry to try and get past them. And they can use a little bit more of their overtake. But just watch for the green bar. Watch for the green bar. If it runs out before the end of the lap, then they're in trouble. And especially towards Vale and Club. That is where another common place of overtaking is. So if you run up by there or heading into the hangar straight in Stowe, then you are probably going to be losing out the position or in any way, actually. So we are halfway now. Lap 14. Thank you to those of you that just joined us from any of the other streams. Hopefully you're all doing well. Unfortunately, GC has left the session, but he did retire earlier on. I think he was the driver that did cause the safety car. And I think that might have been a lag spike my end there, because I think a few drivers had a little bit of X to their name. So it might be my end there, so I do apologise. We do have a yellow flag, and that's LGS out. And Alfio spun as well, so he might be in contact with him. Oh, no. I think Alfio and LGS were trying to go for the move there, and unfortunately, that costed, I think, accidents. And I wonder if we're going to get a safety car for that. I doubt it. But will that trigger a few people to pit? Meanwhile, Jam Pancakes and Bobbert's going side by side. Heading in towards... Just heading towards Wellington Straight. Bobbert's now up into P5. So Bobbert is making progress already. And yet again, on for another position. I've got to say, in terms of comeback drives, I think for Bobbert, this is the greatest comeback drive I've seen so far this season. I know Bobbert has had some wins so far this season, but from races where he had a poor start to now, he's on a comeback. And probably at the moment, he is my driver of the day by far. 60% worth of battery now for the McLaren driver. Left it now 4 tenths behind Hawk. He is gaining, he's gaining, but again, the dirty air's just not helping him. And I wonder what their last lap times is. That'll be crucial. Bobbert's again on Monty. Again, he can't get past either. Another battle to watch out for is Humperdinck and Jonah as well. Around about 7 tenths. I think everybody is quite close to each other, except Monty on Pablo and Alfio, which makes things a little bit more interesting. Pablo with some clearer air is going to help him here. Here comes Bobbert. I think Bobbert is just waiting and waiting for the right moment. You can probably see that Monty is going to be making a mistake soon, maybe, potentially. And here he goes. Bobbert's maybe going for the right-hand side here. Or is he going to stay to the left? He's going to the left. He's committing. He's committing. He wants that move. And he's not going to sell for anything more. Anything less, I mean, sorry. But again, it's not quite enough. But if Bobbert just doesn't go for the move, it's going to be the likes of Jam, Pancakes and Humperdinck probably going for the move. Bobbert is going to like that he's ahead of his championship rival. The gap between, if I just have a look, the gap between first and second is 26 points. It's a whole race victory plus 1 point. So it's a whole race victory plus fastest lap, I would say. So Bobbert can close that gap to around about, I would say, a few points. And then that would really help him. You can see Monty and Bobbert just once again. I think Bobbert's best chance now is heading towards Stowe. Here he goes then. What can Monty do? You can see Bobbert's right on the back of him. It's just ever so tight. But again, Bobbert just can't get the move. But Bobbert's going to go to the left. Here he goes. Bobbert's actually to the right. Sorry, not to the left. I'm getting my left and right mixed up. I do apologise about that. But anyway, Monty is doing all he can. Great defensive work from him. And I feel bad for not watching the other battles. But this is the closest battle we are seeing on track right now. You just can't take your eyes off it. Now, let's see what Bobbers could do. Heading towards turn 2 and 3 now. It is through farm and out into arena. Heading towards turn 4 and 5. He lost a little bit there and Bobbers takes the move. Bobbers eventually gets it done now. And it's going to be a tough ask for Bobbers to get a 6.9 second gap. Don't forget, these drivers, if it stays full wet for the whole session, they could take these tyres to the end. In a full wet race, they don't have to pit. So, it's these drivers to make sure they manage their tyres. I won't be surprised if we see people on tyre wear towards, I think, the 70s, 80%, I would say. We saw that in quite a few tracks this season. Bahrain, Vietnam as well. Maybe here too. I think we saw quite a few people getting to the 80% around Austria too. So I think a lot of people are pushing it to the limits, I would say. Lefted, unfortunately, just can't find the grip at the time to get past his rival, Hawk. So maybe Lefted has to settle for second and he's got to try and find around about 5 tenths or so to see if he can stay in second place. But he's quite comfortably in the podium spot, so I wonder if he's just going to settle for that position. Hawk, 1:39.1 is his fastest lap. So there he goes. And I wonder if Squishy Panda has found a way past Jonah yet. She's gained a few temps on Jonah in that last lap. I think Squishy Panda is probably starting to get a little bit more consistent in these much worn tyres. And for some other people, they're probably starting to struggle. This is crunch time. We are at the final third of this race. This race has gone very, very quickly. You can see quite a lot of people's pit windows open, but they are just ignoring their jets because they're not going to risk it. This is going to be like this for the entire race and they can't take any chances. But the danger is if they do take the risk of staying out and if they get a puncher, then they're just going to lose out on that position and they're going to probably lose out on points. So I don't know what to do if I was in that situation. Some of these guys, maybe pitting would be the best option. Maybe if I was Alfio or Daegu or Maze, probably going for the fastest lap, being on fresher tyres. But for everybody else, so we're heading towards lap 19 now. We can see, I think Tom is another driver that's fighting for the point, and he's got standing between his way, is Tom, Amazed, and Squishy Panda. So a nice 3-car battle for the last points, because points can make or break, and it is getting worse. It's getting very worse. You just can barely see the traffic. You can see puddles going everywhere. If you hit that puddle and if you spin, that could be curtains. That could be curtains for any of those drivers. So they can't afford to take any risks. They can't afford to take any mistakes. So let's see then. Roberts, I think, has found 2 seconds on Pablo. He wants that P3 so badly. And he wants to gain it as well. He is loving these conditions. And I've got to say, well done to these drivers for keeping it on the white lines. Only 4 drivers getting penalties here today. And but most of them, it's going to hope they stay it that way. But for Roberts, he's going to hope that the driver in front, Pablo, is going to get penalty. 4.2 seconds now is the gap between himself and Pablo. He's on a mission, he is. He's on a mission. And if he does get the move, then bravo to him. And I'm just worried for Lefted. I think he's like doing a Max Verstappen. He just can't get past the one that's been dominating for a majority of the race. But I think if it was dry condition, I think he would have tried to get past right now. But again, he wants to take it cautious. And I think for him, consistency is key. I think him getting a second place is a lot better than him trying for the move and not, might get damage from it and him going into a wall. So Lefted is taking no chances. He's only going to go for the move if he sees fit. He doesn't want to lose it all. Lefted looking very promising these last couple of rounds, actually. So he could be another threat to the title. He is losing a bit of ERS, though. 20, I'll say 27% maybe. Now on 32. I won't be surprised if a few more people use a bit more ERS, I've got to say. So do watch out for these drivers. As they are starting, I think a few people may be starting to lose it. No yellow flags for quite a while as well, so I think they've been resting on their laurels a bit and I think they're not wanting to see what happens to GC and LGS up behind, who unfortunately those two had to retire. And the only people that have made pit stops is Tom, Amaze, Daegu and Alfio, and that was all due to damage. And like I said, just a quick reminder, they don't have to pit in these conditions, because they can go on forever and ever and ever. But the danger is around about lap 20. I would say lap 24, I would say, is a puncture territory danger as well. Because according to my tire data, 25 laps is how long they can last the full wet. So they should be, I think, saving around about a lap of fuel and a lap of tyre, maybe potentially in ERS, to potentially make sure they get to the end. And what's the gap now to Bobberts? 2.9. This is crunch time. Bobberts, I think, is the fastest man on circuit right now. If I have a look, actually. A 138.2. Yes, he is the fastest man on circuit. The only driver to get into the 138s. Everybody else on circuit is in the 139s. So I think that's what's helping Bobberts. He's gaining around about a second per lap. And I wonder if he is in the 138 consistently. So let's look at Bobberts, actually. So he's got a few warnings. He's actually one warning off a pen. So he's got to be careful. He's hit the 138s the last 3 laps, actually. 138.5 on lap 18. 138.4 on lap 19. 138.2 where he set his fastest lap on lap 20. So that is helping him so much gain time. Could it be on shot for podium? He still could be on shot for the victory here today. It's not over. It's definitely not over. So you heard it here, folks. This could be a very bumpy ride for some of these drivers. And just look at the gaps. They're not laps yet either. So I'm just going to get it back to interval as well, just so I can see the battles. Everyone is close. Monty, though, he's got a bit of clear air around him, but he's going to be happy that he could probably maintain, I think, P6, I would say, because Jam Pancakes is catching every breath right now. And this is by far a very tense Silverstone race, and, you know, these guys are keeping their cool. Less incidents, and I would say there has been less incidents in this full wet race than I've seen in most races in AOR Xbox One F1. So I've got to say bravo to them. Bravo to them, and I'm surprised there's been less retirements as well. So that just goes to show that these guys do practice for the wet. You've got to practice, I think, for both conditions. And sometimes I'm an idiot and I don't tend to practice on the wet conditions, but I think it just goes to show that if you do, the rewards come at you. Hawk had a really good advantage at the start of the race, but Lefted was saving quite a bit here. But Lefted is a bit worrying because just look at the ERS on the right hand side. 5%. He was using so much. Amaze is on his second penalty. He's now up into 6 seconds. And I did say there was hardly any yellow flags for the time being, as Amaze just binned it. And Tom has binned it as well. Tom is now out of the race. And are we going to see a safety car? No, we got VSC. Okay, I thought I was going to get a safety car there. But yeah, I'm guessing that the virtual safety car will catch a few people out. That's really helped. The VSC has definitely helped Lefted. He's gained about 2/10 that lap. So Hawk's going to be a bit worried. I think as soon as the VSC goes and it's for green, I think what Lefted needs to do is absolutely floor it. So here we go then. This is crucial. And you can see the gap, I think, behind as well. That's close. So we're down to 11 drivers. So only one of the finishers will not score points. And I've got to say, I've jinxed quite a few people saying there wouldn't be any more retirements, and there was more retirements. Oopsie daisy. Commentator's curse just strikes again. So anyway, Greenland Racing, Lefted, I think, has not had the good of restarts, but he's gaining a bit more on Hawk. I think he's just saving the battery now. The VSC was allowing him to save a little bit more battery, so that's going to help him really gain on Hawk. He may not win it on track, but my oh my, he would have earned that second place. Here we go then to another battle. Bobbitts now has gained 5 tenths on Con Pablo now. So don't forget, Bobbitts was 6 seconds behind Pablo after he overtakes Monty. Now Bobbitts is 5 tenths, just watch. Bobbitts is on course to be getting his first podium in a while. His last podium was in China, where he got a win. He was very close in Spain, I believe, but he didn't get close ever since. I think Bobbitts will be very, very happy if he gets that podium in today. I think most other drivers might not be, but for Bobbitts, he's going to prove to himself that he is ready for a charge this season. He wants to win this championship. He's one of the most experienced Tier 1 drivers on the grid, and he's been looking good on Pablo. I wonder if he's been pushing too soon now. We will sure have to find out as we are on with 3 laps to go. And Lefted is now gained a bit on Hawk. This could be his chance. Hawk's on 37. They're on the same amount of ERS. This is critical. I can't watch. It's going to get very, very tense between both of these drivers. Both of these drivers could not afford to lose position here, because otherwise the other drivers behind are going to gain massively. Maybe Lefted could push Hawk into making a mistake. Lefted almost losing it there. He was risking it for a chocolate biscuit. And it looks like for the ones that have been on those tyres since the very start of the race, it looks like they're going to stay until the end. I think that is what they're going to be doing right now. And in a way, I'm not that shocked. I'm not that shocked. We saw something similar last season in AOR. And actually, Xbox One Oceana, I think, in Japan, we saw someone take those tyres for whole, I think it was 28 laps, I think, Japan, or was it 29? I can't remember, but he ended up winning the tyres because of it, which was brilliant. But anyway, I'm seeing more battles emerging, but here we go, Bobbitts, here he comes. He wants this. He's going side by side with Pablo. He did have a try into arena as well. But there they go. Bobbitts gets the left-hand side. Can he do it? The pressure is going to be really hard to them. A bit of a banging wheel there as Pablo goes off. Oh my God, that was close. That could have been curtains for Pablo. But it might be a mistake for me. One of those drivers, I can't really tell from my camera angle, but Bobbitts is in P3 and a well-deserved P3 for him. He is undoubtedly my driver of the day. Pablo getting a 3-second time penalty as well. But due to Monty getting a 3-second time penalty too, that will still put him in P4. Humperdinck has got his old teammate from last season, Jam Pancakes, right in front of him. He knows he wants to get past him. And he's probably got a few words to say to him. Saying, oh my God, I'm better than you. Or maybe like that. So we'll have to wait and see. So let's find out. Lap 26 then, of 26. Hawk starting the final lap. Lefted could be saving all of his ERS and fuel and tyres up until the final lap. And also because it is at a danger puncher territory. I wonder what the tyres are going to be at this moment in time. But here he goes. Lefted is saving it to the final lap. Just past Arena into the Wellington straight. And it looks like Lefted has got the move done on the final lap. Great stuff. It may not be for the win due to penalties, but Lefted, my oh my, what a move. I had a feeling he was going to leave it all to the final lap. It was a risk him doing that, but for him, he nailed it and he's pulling away. It's probably going to be too little too late. He's absolutely pushing to try and get rid of that deficit. He may lose P2 as well, but he doesn't care. 9/10 a second. He's gained quite a lot of time. He can still get that race victory. He's got to find 2 seconds. I just don't know if he's going to do it, but just look at the amount of time he's gaining. Maybe he was holed up by Hawk. I don't know. Maybe Hawk's tyres is on the cusp right now. Bobbers is getting time on Hawk. Maybe Bobbers could win this race. We don't know. This is getting ever so tense. My voice is about to die, but I don't care. I don't think Lefted has done quite enough. If he did it on the penultimate lap, he potentially would have got the win. But Lefted comes across the line. He wins on track. But it is Hawk that takes the victory. With Bobbers in second, Lefted in third. But what could it be for Pablo? But he gets P4. And a great showing for the Ferrari boys. Great points for the constructors for them. Monty with an impressive 5th place. But Jam Pancakes actually gets it due to penalties. Humberdinck's in 6th, Jonah 7th, Squishy Panda 8th, and I think that's it. David going on the hards. That is interesting. I think that was a mistake there. I don't think he was meant to do that. So, but he's managing it okay. Somehow, but he's going to lose so much time. But there we go. Let's go on board with your race winner. A 2nd win in a row. That is going to solidify his place in the championship. And I do mean it. He is on form right now. Hawk is 9th in the standings, but he is going to jump to around about, I would say, 6th position. Yeah, 6th position he would jump to at the end of this race, which is incredible. And 9 drivers out of the 10-point scorers, they did not stop at all. And they somehow kept it puncher free. And for some of them, if they did have a puncher, they managed to get to the end at least. And Bobbitt gets driver of the day. And I've got to say, I got to agree with the game, to be honest. I thought that Bobbitt's race was over when he spun earlier, but he absolutely nailed that comeback drive at the end there. From the way he was driving, we thought he was on newer tyres, but he wasn't. So, a fantastic effort. But Lefted and Hawk also did a great job. And all 3 of them definitely deserve to be on the podium. And Hawk has won his home Grand Prix. A feat that I think every driver wants to do is win their home Grand Prix. But only one driver can do it out of the Brits. It is Hawk. The fastest lap today does go to Bobbitt. And he does close up to Humperdinck in the championship by quite a bit, actually. Humperdinck still leads the championship, I think. But Bobbitt does close in, which is, I think, he needed that comeback today. And he's going to probably have a huge relief on his face. Lefted in 3rd. Pablo 4th. Jam Pancakes 5th. Humperdinck in 6th. Jonah in 7th position. Squishy Panda in 8th. Monty in 9th. Alfio in 10th position. Alex Daegu, unfortunately, was a lap down in 11th. And your non-finishers, Tom, Amaze, LGS, and VRC GC. Wow, that was a good race, especially towards the final part of that. And I'm definitely going to have a drink after this race and a little bit of a lie down as well. I hope we get more races like that again, because it was amazing. And we'd like to thank you so much for watching the British Grand Prix. It's been a lot of fun to cover it, I've got to say. And next week, I believe, we go to Hungary. Now, Hungary is basically Monaco without the barriers. I like Hungary to race at, but it is hard to overtake. So qualifying is going to be absolutely key around Hungary next week. So make sure you join us. And if you want to watch more AOR action, make sure you press subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when not to miss a video or when AOR goes live. Make sure you watch the other streams back, PS4 F1, PC F1 and PC F2. Make sure you watch those, 'cause I'm sure those races were absolutely cracking as well. I'll definitely be watching those back after this as well. And I've been JessGames95. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody, and we will see you next week for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Good night.